Imagine that it is December, Friday the 13th, and I am driving to the hospital with my wife. It's 5:30 in the morning. We arrive at the hospital, we meet with the nurse. She's asking us the normal questions that nurses ask when you arrive at a hospital. And she asks, what are we here for? We tell her, and she does not believe us. She dismisses us with a wave of the hand and says, what are you really here for? And we tell her again that we're here for an amputation. She felt sheepish and chagrined, and she told my wife over and over how sorry she was while I was in the surgery. It didn't bother us a bit. We thought it was funny. Amputation comes from the Latin word amputare. Ambi for circle, and putare for prune. In Roman times, it usually referred to a punishment. For me, it wasn't a punishment, it was relief. I had suffered years of painful disability, and the amputation gave me relief from that. Imagine now that you are the one on that surgery table, and you are the one that talks to the nurse. How would you respond? How do we respond when we face a difficult circumstance? I don't pretend to know all the answers, but I know that most people will face disability in their lifetime. 1 in 5 people are disabled according to some surveys, and most people do face disability. When we face disability, how do we respond? Like I said, I don't know that I know all the answers, but I know some things that worked for me, and I'd like to talk today about 3 things. The first would be that we learn to laugh. The second would be that we seek wisdom. And the third would be that we not put down the paper when we need to look at it. There's 2 pages here, and the thing is not till later. There are 2 pages, and we don't get to that until I don't need this until we get to the, and I really don't even need I just need this page.
Okay, so let's get rid of extra pages we don't need.
I was doing pretty good that time.
You were doing great. So,
Don't you worry your pretty little head.
okay, so this is the first page. What about this one little page?
I don't need it, that's it.
Okay, and this will be down there. Okay, am I?
I would
No.
just hold that there.
I can see the shadow of your hair. But I don't think it's a big deal.
That'll be.
That'll
Alright.
be there.
We ready?
Yes.
It is December, Friday the 13th, and my wife and I are traveling to the hospital. It's 5:30 in the morning. We're there to have a surgery. I'm going to have my left leg amputated. We meet with a nurse and go through the normal questions that you go through with a nurse. In the process, she asks us why we are there. We tell her. She doesn't believe us. She dismisses us with a wave of the hand and says, no, really, why are you here? We tell her again, and she sheepishly apologizes. She apologized to my wife over and over again while I was in the surgery, but we didn't mind. We thought it was funny. Amputation comes from the Latin word amputare. Ambu for circle, and putare for prune or cut. In ancient times, it usually referred to a punishment. But for me, it wasn't a punishment at all. I was there to be relieved of years of suffering that I had had resulting from a lifelong disability. And I felt great about it. The theme for this talk is imagine. And I would like you to imagine yourself on that day, and you are going to have your surgery, how would you respond? The thing is that most people will suffer from disability sometime in their lifetime. 1 in 5 people, according to some studies, are disabled. And all of us will likely have to face some questions about impairment or disability sometime in our life. You have the wrong page up.
Speaking of humor. But hey, that went really well.
What is the... I need to see what film is. Oh, I know what it is.
That's going to be another one. What's my quote? The function of laughter is to make things trivial and thus gain mastery over whatever threatens to overwhelm us.
Why don't you make a big one that just has the quote on it? Just right on the other side. If you're worried about it.
I don't know.
Is it going?
Yes.
All right, well, come out again then. It's December 23rd, 5:30 in the morning. My wife and I are going to the hospital, and I am going to have my leg amputated. We arrive at the hospital. We meet with an intake nurse. She asks us the normal questions that such a nurse asks individuals. And in the process, she asks us, "Why are you here?" And we tell her. This was a small community hospital that usually dealt with pregnancies and same-day surgeries. And she was taken back by our answer, and she dismissed us with a wave of the hand saying, "No, really, why are you here?" We laughed, and then we told her again that we were there for an amputation. She was embarrassed and chagrined. She apologized to my wife over and over again while I was in the surgery. But it didn't bother us a bit. We just thought it was funny. Amputation comes from the Latin word amputare. Ambi, meaning circle. Putare, meaning to prune. In ancient times, it was often thought of as a punishment. For me, it was no punishment, it was relief. I had been born with a disability and had suffered with it through my whole life. And my amputation was a chance to be relieved from some pain and suffering and give me some more chances at physical strength and ability. The theme of this conference is imagine. Imagine that you were on the table and it was going to be your surgery. How would you respond? According to some surveys, 1 in 5 Americans is disabled at any given time. And most of us will be disabled sometime during our life or incapacitated in some way, whether it's through an injury or age or infirmity. We need to think of how we can respond to that situation. I don't pretend that I have the answers for everyone, but I can tell you 3 things that worked for me, and I recommend them to you. The first of those would be learn to laugh. The second would be to seek wisdom. And the third would be imagine that you can do hard things. Sorry. I needed to make a good transition there. I guess I'm just going to continue from here, though.
Are you done with this one?
Yeah. The first point was learn to laugh. In my situation, about 8 days before we had my surgery, we invited all of our friends and neighbors over to our home. This is our invitation. It was a footloose open house, and we wanted people to come, and it was sort of a farewell party for my foot. Inside the invitation, this is what we wrote. I had the 10 items that could 10 reasons why. All right, let's start over. I'm sorry, Monica, you probably need to go.
No worries.
We're good.
Okay. Give me to laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I go to laughter, that's what I talk about. Alright. And is it still running okay?
Yeah, it's still running. Well, it only has 20 minutes though, and we're at 10 minutes, so should I restart it?
No, it's fine, because I can only take, I was only supposed to send him 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's Friday, December 13th, 5:30 in the morning, and my wife and I are traveling to the hospital to have my left leg amputated. We meet with the nurse, the normal intake nurse, asking the normal intake questions. This is a small community hospital that usually handles pregnancies and same-day surgeries. She asks us the normal questions, such as, why are you here? We tell her. And she dismisses us with a wave of the hand. No, really, why are you here? We tell her again, and she's embarrassed and chagrined. She apologizes to my wife profusely, but we understand and think it's funny and laugh it off. Amputation comes from the Latin word amputare. Ambi meaning circle, and putare meaning to prune. Amputation was thought of in ancient times as a punishment, or that word conjured up the thought of punishment. But for me, it wasn't a punishment, it was a relief. I had been born with a disability and had suffered through that for years, and I was looking forward to the end of some very serious pain. The theme of our conference is imagination, or imagine. I would like you to imagine yourself as being the one to receive a surgery that day. How would you respond? Some surveys say that 1 in 5 people have a disability, and most of us will have a disability sometime in our life. How are we going to respond to that? Now, I don't pretend to have the answer for everyone, but I found 3 things that were useful for me and may be useful for you. Those 3 things are: learn to laugh, seek wisdom, and imagine that you can do hard things. First, learn to laugh. As I said, my wife and I just laughed at the nurse and her little faux pas. And there are hundreds of circumstances that people with a disability can look at and find humor. When I had my surgery, about 8 days before, I decided to have a party, a farewell party, if you will, for my foot. And I invited all of my neighbors over. We called it a Footloose Open House. And everyone was to come over. We had ice cream and we enjoyed talking with each other. When we did that, on the inside of our invitation, we had this: the top 10 reasons why amputation is not going to be so bad. Number 10, no more grueling butt-kicking contests. Number 9, reduces the chance of snake bite by half. Number 8, easy to make a leg lamp for Christmas. And it goes on and on. To my mother-in-law's favorite, number 1, weight loss without dieting. Now, this was a simple little humorous thing, but it really helped in our neighborhood. For one, it let my neighbors know that we could talk about it. It broke the ice. It let us know that we could talk to our neighbors about it, and it let our neighbors know that they could talk with us about it. It was helpful in that way. It was a simple way and a fun way to have a good time. My neighbors came over, and some of them brought, I had neighbors who brought different books and movies that I could read that were a joke. Somebody brought, and said you could see My Left Foot, and somebody said you could see Footloose, and they had we had a fun time, and we all knew that we could talk about it. We knew it was a sad event, but we knew that we could talk about it. There's a Shakespearean scholar who said in his study of King Lear and some of the other tragedies, he said that the function of laughter is to make things trivial and thus gain mastery over whatever threatens to overwhelm us. And laughter can help us gain mastery over those things that are going to overwhelm us or might overwhelm us. There have been several studies that have shown the benefits of laughter in traumatic and chronic pain situations. One of those is a study out of Switzerland, where the scientists had people watch comedy movies after they had, watch comedy movies before, now I've got that wrong,
It's okay. Just stop for a second and then go, there's several studies, and then you can do a quick splice.
all right, sorry.
It was really, really good.
That was
honey.
going great.
So just
Do I need to move any more?
No.
Do I have any slide changes?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, actually, maybe. I have some more, but I have to be inspired to use them.
Okay.
A group of Swiss researchers found that laughter can help those suffering from chronic pain. It can increase our pain tolerance, and it can improve our quality of life. The Swiss team showed people a comedy film after they had their, I did it wrong again. They showed them a comedy film before putting their hands in ice water. And those who, all right. A group of Swiss researchers found that laughter can help us overcome chronic pain, that it can increase our pain tolerance and improve our quality of life. These Swiss researchers had people watch a comedy film before they had them submerge their arms in freezing water. And those that laughed during the comedy film were able to endure that pain much longer. Thomas Benz, one of the researchers, thought that we should adopt this as a therapy for people who suffer from chronic pain. So even science has shown that laughter can help us in difficult situations.
Yeah, that's great. You're at 18 minutes and 54 seconds.
So that's 8 minutes.